Okay guys, so this video is going to be all about pre-sanctified liturgies. Really excited. It was a great explanation. I never understood the difference between like our normal Sunday liturgies and what a pre-sanctified liturgy is. I just assumed that there was some special term because of the way it was celebrated. So if you're like me and you've always been really confused about it, you're definitely going to want to listen into this, so stay tuned.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive.
Okay, so welcome back to another episode. In this one, we're going to be talking all about pre-sanctified liturgies and what the difference is between a regular Sunday liturgy, or regular liturgy, I guess, and a pre-sanctified liturgy. So, you ready to answer that question?
Yeah. You know, we have this term in the church that describes the Lenten season as joyful sorrow. Mm. And if you've come to a Lenten service, you get a sense of that. You know, the music is somber, the movements are quieter, the lighting may be dimmer, the vestments are darker. Mm. And there's a sense of sobriety and somberness to the services. And there's a reason for that. I mean, we're thinking of our own mortality, we're thinking of our own brokenness, our own sins, our own estrangement from God and one another. And that's a somber thing, mm-hmm. you know. But at the same time, there's a bit of joy, even in those somber services. You can't hold a Christian down. You know, in a sense, we know the end of the story. We know that Christ is risen. We know he's conquered death and overcome sin, that he's restored us, right, to our rightful place. So the ancient Greek word is harmolipi, joyful sorrow. Mm. The pre-sanctifieds fit, within that. Technically speaking, the church in her wisdom and in her tradition said, we can't celebrate a liturgy, a full liturgy with a consecration, with bells, with joyful singing in Lent. It doesn't fit. The character's not the same. Because every liturgy, if you will, is a celebration of Pascha, right, our Lord's resurrection. Whether that's Sunday in the middle of August or a Tuesday in the middle of February, right? They're all a mini resurrection. And since we're waiting to celebrate that Pascha, mm-hmm. the Pascha, the Feast of Feasts, the church puts us in the proper framework of we can't quite celebrate, right? And so a pre-sanctified liturgy is not what we would deem as a proper liturgy in the sense that it has all of the parts of a typical liturgy. Instead, there's no consecration. There isn't the normal reading of the epistle, the gospel, the proclamation through the sermon or the homily, the hymns that we're accustomed to. Instead, it's really psalm reading with some hymns, a small type of procession, some Old Testament readings, and really the distribution of the Eucharist. And so why did the church place this service in the Lenten season? Well, as you know, and I certainly am aware of too, when we go into Lent, there is the tradition of fasting, increased prayer and vigilance. And it's hard. It's really hard. I mean, I'm not yet met the person who's like, oh, great, Lent's coming, piece of cake. I mean, it's a slog. It's meant to be. But the church doesn't want to just leave us on this, journey without any way stations, mm-hmm. any oases, any place to sort of restore. And so the pre-sanctified comes in the middle of the week. Typically on Wednesdays when people come, it can be served other days of the week. Okay. It can be served on Friday or even Monday or Tuesday. Most parishes do it on Wednesday, middle of the week, right about the time that, you know, that Sunday liturgy is waned, you know, and the joy and the power and the grace that you got on Sunday is kind of started to go. It's like the middle of the day, you know. And it offers, you know, a spiritual pick-me-up. You know, come and receive the Eucharist and be sustained, you know, by Christ in the midst of your fast, in the midst of your journey, in the midst of this slog, right? Here's something to sustain you and keep you. So, you know, it's definitely, and you see it yourself, true. Like you come to the pre-sanctified, you made it to Wednesday, and you think, you know, maybe I should stop fasting and just kind of give it up for the rest of the week and try this next week. You come to the pre-sanctified and you're restored a little bit, you're given a little bit more provision and a little grace, and you carry on. You know, and you also check in. Oh, it looks like the rest of the community is also in the same boat here, and they're here too to receive a little bit of help from the Lord, you know. And so that's really where and why it stands as it does. There's another element to it, often overlooked, and in it there are prayers for catechumens, and there are prayers for those who are going to be baptized. And we usually ignore that. Those petitions and prayers are in there for a reason. And I think it's around the 4th week of Lent, the number of prayers actually increases. Because if we recall, Lent is that final season for those who are going to be chrismated or baptized to prepare. They're going to be received at Pascha. And so the pre-sanctified is an opportunity to start to incorporate them more fully into the liturgical life. Because again, in the olden days, they weren't participating in the liturgy. They were kept from it. So they are there as well, and they're prayed for, and the community prays for them, and it helps them, because imagine trying to get through Lent, fasting, and all the rest, and no Eucharist, right? So that element is there as well.
Okay, that's a great answer. Okay. All right, well, there you have it. That is the difference between a regular liturgy and a pre-sanctified liturgy.